everybody, it's Joe from Britical Saiyans here, and today I'm going to be going through Kaio-Ken Goku, as he's so lovingly dubbed, or Destined Confrontation Goku, whatever you want to call it. So, to start with, he's got an auto of when it's placed in the lead area, you get King Kai's plant from your deck, so you just also play this field, which you need, and you also need the 4 King Kai's training to go with it in the deck, otherwise it just doesn't function. Secondly, also just when he attacks, he draws a card, pretty handy. And then for its awaken, it's when your life is 4 or less, or your opponent's leader is back is facing up. So if your opponent has awakened, basically, because that's the back and this is the front, you may switch up to one of your energy to active mode. Then this card gains 5k power for the turn and flip him over. So that's useful in the fact that when you awaken, you go to 20k, or you might go up to like 5k because the leader does drain its own power. There's quite a few cards that, as of like going into the next turn, you are minus by like 10k or 15k. It's never 5k, annoyingly. It's always 10 or 15. So it just helps you get a bit of power back in case you've lost any. So on this side, again, when it attacks, it draws a card. And then it has an active main of you send 4 King Kai's training from under King Kai's plant in your battle to the owner's drop. Battle to the owner's warps. Oh, okay. Did not realise that. It's in the warp, not the drop. My bad. And then it gains 45k power until for the turn, and then during the next turn he goes down by 15k. So during your next turn he becomes a 0. Yeah, from the war. Or you've got the active battle. Once per turn you place 1 King Kai's training from under King Kai's plant in your drop area, and he gains 10k power for the battle, but then gets minus 10k during the next turn. So you can have a small power boost, or you can go for a massive play of being a 60k. So next, well, going to the main deck, we'll start with the Unison card, which is just 4 copies of Krillin's Staunch Defender. I know a lot of decks tend to run the King Vegeta one, but I just wanted to try it my own way. So there's going to be some cards in there that aren't really used in the most popular builds, but just my way of doing things. So Gregory has an auto once per turn. When life is at 3 or less and it's your opponent's turn, when your leader's card's power is decreased, you switch the card to active mode and it gains blocker for the turn. So again, the leader skill, it can give itself a minus. So then when that would trigger, you would go down in power, which means this becomes a blocker when you're on 3 or less. And he's got an active main of +1, choose 1 card in your hand and place it at the bottom of the game's deck. And then for every 2 King Kai's training under King Kai's plant in your battle area, you draw a card. So if you have 2 under there, you draw 1. If you have all 4, you draw 2. So it's pretty handy, just lets you cycle. And it's got -1 active main. Your opponent chooses a card in their hand and discards it. So just standard green play of discarding. Going into the extra cards of the deck now. And to start with, I'm going to go through King Kai's Planet, which is the one of the main extra cards for the deck. So King Kai's Planet is a field. It costs 10, but Goku plays it out for free, so that part doesn't even matter. It's got active main of once per turn. Place up to 1 King Kai's training from under your deck, life or drop area under this card, and then shuffle any areas you look through. So it does let you get one at your life or multiple at your life, which is pretty handy, and just lets you see what's in there. And then you can get them out your drop in case you put them in there through effects, and you get it from your deck, just a deck fin. So very useful searching places. And then it's got a secondary active main of if there are 4 King Kai's training on this card, you gain one of the following effects. So you can either choose up to 1 Kaio-Ken Goku confronting invasion in your hand and play it. which is this one. So you can just play that from your hand. You can choose all green Son Goku cards in your leader and battle area and you gain 5k for the turn. Or you can draw one card and place a card from your hand to the bottom of your deck. So again, the last one just lets you cycle. The first phase lets you play a card and the second phase lets you just power up all your Gokus. So even if it's just your lead card, still handy. And I suppose next I shall go into King Kai's training. So this is a must-have as a 4 in the deck. Otherwise the deck doesn't function really. And it's active main. You choose one King Kai's part in your battle area and place his cards underneath. And then you can add up to one Son Goku confronting invasion from your deck to your hand and shuffle your deck. Kaio-Ken Son Goku. So this card just basically you pay one, place it under your training and get this to your hand to help you set up for later in the game. But as again, there are effects that just take it in and out of your King Kai's part. So they are cards that you have to run in the deck, otherwise the leader just doesn't function. And then the last extra cards of the decks are the negates. So we've got a For Greater Good and 2 copies of Protector of the People. So for the Greater Good is just a, if your leader's green, negate the attack, choose one of your opponent's battle cards of 1 cost and KO it. And then if it's in your drop area you can activate it by paying a green and removing itself and a green card from your hand from the game. And then when you activate it you can only do it once per turn. So it's still good because it just counts as 2 negates basically. And then Protector of the People is counter, negate the attack, then you may choose a card in your hand, discard, or place it in your drop area. If you do, you choose one of your leaders and it gains the following effect for the turn. So when it's attacked by a battle card, it gains 5k power for the turn. This is very useful in the fact that our leader can go down to minus numbers, or it can hit 0. So being able to then just turn around and go, okay, as a negate, I'm just going to gain power every time you hit it with a battle card, makes life so much easier on us. That's kind of like one of the perfect decks to run it in. So now we're going into the battle cards, and this is where like my version of the deck kind of comes in. I haven't seen anyone else do this as of when I built it, but other people might have picked up on the idea, and that is that I'm running Krillin blockers. For any of you that ever, well, that played during Clash of Fates, as you know, there's a Goku deck that if you lose a Krillin, you play out a 5 cost and it just blows up stuff and becomes a 25k double strike beat stick. I decided to run the Krillin blockers as I need to defend the leader anyway, and most of the stuff in the set was blockers that you could play out easily. And I thought, well, I may as well use Krillin and Clash of Fates Goku as a blocker engine and a nice little way of fighting back. So to start with, we got Krillin calling for help. Permanent is if your leader is a green Son Goku card and it's flipped on its back, increase this card's energy in all areas by 3 and this gains blocker. So then it becomes a 4 cost blocker which triggers Goku, the Clash of Fates Goku's effect. And then when you play this card you just draw 1 card. So it's pretty good. Run it as 2 off just as like you want to see it in the opening game. Later in the game becomes a bit more of a hindrance in your hand, so it's just there to be a sacrificial pawn, as all the Krillins are in this deck. And then next we've got 3 copies of North Kai Master's Guidance. So it's 1 cost 5k, and it's also as you choose 1 King Kai's pirate in your battle area. When this card is played, you draw 1 card, then place it to 1 King Kai's train from deck or drop area under the chosen card, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. So it's just a way of getting out a training, and then you have a 5k combo piece ready to go. And then next we've got 4 copies of Training Buddy Gregory. Gregory is probably the most useful one drop in this deck. So it's also, you choose 1 card in your hand, place it at the bottom of your deck, and then place 1 King Kai's train from under King Kai's part in your battle area, from your battle area into drop. And then when it's played you draw 2, so you remove a training, put a card from your hand to the bottom and draw 2 new cards. And its active battle, which is where it's most useful, is you pay 1 green, you place this card in its owner's drop area, and you choose up to 1 Son Goku card and it gains 15k power for the battle. So, being that it says Son Goku card does mean you can choose a battle card that's already in fight and just be like, well, you know, I'll pay 1, give it 15k. Or you can target your leader, which might be minus to 0 due to effects. So then Gregory can just sacrifice himself and put you back to 15. So that's why it's just very useful, because it helps you gain back any lost power, or just is a 15k combo for 1 energy on any Gokus. And then next we've got 2 copies of Training Girls Son Goku, partially because I only have 2. If I had more I'd probably just take up the North Kai, because I don't really use it. So Goku is, when this card is played, look at 5 cards from the top of your deck, and you choose up to 1 green Son Goku card for an energy cost of 5 less, or 1 green Unison card for a specified cost of 2 among to your hand, add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. So you either search a Goku, because everything in this deck is 5 cost or less, or you get Unison. And then it's got an active main of limit 1, you pay 1 green. If there are 3 or more King Kai's training under King Kai's planet in your battle area, choose up to 1 Son Goku, Kaio-Ken Son Goku confronting invasion in your deck or warp, play it on top of this card, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. So this just lets you pay 1 and guarantee your 2 cost from your deck or your warp, which is very useful because a lot of stuff does end up going to the warp. Next we got 2 costs of the deck, and to start with we got a super combo, which is 4 copies of Ever Dependable Bulma, which is again just my own personal tech for the deck. I went with Bulma because, so her effect is when you come with this card, if it is green is a Shenron or a green Saiyan card and your life is at 5 or less, you draw 1 and it gains 10k combo for the turn. So I went with it because the leader can awaken early. It will literally depend on your opponent awakening. You could decide, oh, you know what, I'll awaken as well, even though I'm on 6 or 7 or however early in the game they can awaken. So Bulma's good in the fact that if you awaken early and you get down to 5, you still have a super combo you can use, and you don't have to wait till you hit 4 life. You can just start using Bulma as soon as you hit that threshold. And I found that I wasn't really hitting sparking easy enough, so a life combo just seemed to be the better option. And next we've got 4 copies of Fledgling Duo Son Gohan. So it's 2.5k, it's got barrier and then permanent, reduce the energy costs of Krillin cards in your hand by 1. So it just reduces its non-specified cost by 1, making Krillin cheaper to play out, and he does stack. So it's just here to make all the Krillins that we play easier to play. So like I said, using some Clash of Fates in here, just to give that deck a nice little bit of spice. And next we got 2 copies of Son Goku Allies in the Heart. So this is a pretty nice SR that came out in set 13 to help with the Clash of Fates deck. It's got 10k deflect, it's got 2 autos, the first being place 1 card in your life in your drop area. When you play this card from your hand, you play up to 1 green Krillin card, an energy cost of 4 and the blocker skill from your deck or drop area, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. So for 2 energy and 1 life we get a blocker and a Goku, which is pretty handy. And then we can pay 2 green for a second auto. When one of your green Krillin cards with an energy cost of 4 is KO'd, play up to 1 mono green Son Goku card with an energy cost of 5 from your deck or drop area on top of this card with skills negated for the turn, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. So this is very useful in the fact that if we lose Krillin we can pay 2 and to get one of our 5-drop Gokus. So like I said, we've got the Clash of Fates one here, which is a 25 double striking beat stick, or we've got the Kaio-Ken one. And it's good to have the Kaio-Ken one available because Goku negates the skills of whichever one you play on top of it, So if you decide to play this Goku on top, you'd negate its skill of it going to the warp at the end of the turn. So then you just keep this 25k double striking beat stick for the turn. It's just like 25 double, 25 double. And then at the end of the next turn, it would go. So you just have it for extra. This would honestly be worth considering to run as a 3 of and taking out, like again, King Kai or a Gohan. But I found that 2 is also a good number, so not really losing out. And then our final 2 drop of the deck, but the most important one, is 4 copies of Kaio-Ken Goku confronting Invasion. So you've got Unique and Barrier, an active main, limit 1, you pay 1 green. If there is a total of 4 King Kai's training in your warp and or under a King Kai's planet in your battle area, and you send this card to its owner's warp, you play 1 Kaio-Ken Goku maximum gains from your deck, then shuffle your deck. So this just lets you go into the free cost Goku and is a 15k that your opponent can't really target until it's already left the board. Also in rest mode. Our 3 drop of the deck is just, as mentioned before, Kaio-Ken Goku maximum gains. So he's got 19k. It's got also when this card is played, you draw 1, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 4 or less and KO it. So you just kill a weakling. And it's got an active main of limit 1. If your opponent has 3 or more energy and your life is less than or equal to your opponent's, choose up to 1 Kaio-Ken Goku decisive battle in your hand and play it on top of this card. So we got a 1 cost that goes into 2, that goes into this 3, and this 3 cost goes into our 5 cost. And this is just here to be the bridge between. Its only function in the deck. So next we're going on to the 4 costs of the deck. And start with, we've got 2 copies of Fledgling Duo Krillin. So it's a 15k blocker, and it's alters when you play this card, choose it from one of your opponent's back cards and KO it. So just on place, kill something, and then you have a blocker. Which, like I said, because I need Mice's power, blockers are handy. All our 4 drops Krillin, by the way. So our next one is Krillin A Brief Return. So again, it's got blocker, it's got 20k power, and this one has 2 autos. The first being, at the end of your turn, you switch this card to active mode. So it means you can have a 20k beat stick, and then a 20k blocker following so. And then secondary autos, when this card is removed from your battle by an opponent's skill or KO'd, choose up to one of your opponent's Unison cards and remove a marker from it. So, got marker removal, can't really knock. Unisons are everywhere these days, so that's why I run 3 of him over 3 of Fledgling Duo, because Fledgling Duo can't get around barrier, so can't pop as much. And then our final 4 drop for the deck is 3 copies of Persistent Assault Krillin. So this one's got barrier, 15k. It's got also when you play this card, you draw a card. And then his permanent is if your leader is green or black and this card is in rest mode, your opponent's cards can't attack leader cards. So basically, Krillin acts like a deadly defender, which back in the day stops your opponent from just assaulting your leader until they got rid of the battle card. So Krillin does the exact same thing, protects our leader, which is good because again, minus power on leader. And it means that if they pop it for whatever reason, you can just play out one of your final showdown Gokus. So, just helps the deck a lot. And the fact that you draw a card when you play him is also really nice. Finally, going into our 5 drops for the deck, we have 3 copies of the Final Showdown Son Goku. So, 25k double strike. He's got 2 autos. First being, when a Krillin card with energy cost of 4 or more in your battle area is KO'd by your opponent, if the leader card is green or black, play this card from your hand and you can't play another copy for the turn. So all those Krillin blockers that we have at 4 cost, or that can be counted as 4 cost, play this out for free. And that's why it's just really good to have the Krillins in this build, because our leader requires blockers, and this just gives us something for using Krillin as a blocker. And then its secondary auto is when this card is played from your hand, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and KO it. So then, if you do its effect to play it out, you can kill something. No cost limit, no barrier to get in the way, just pick something and kill it, because they killed Krillin. So, fairsies. And finally, our last card of the deck is 3 copies of Kaio-Ken Goku Decisive Battle. This one's much worthier than its brother. So it's got 25k power, deflect, double strike, barrier and dual attack. He's got EX evolved by paying 3 green. If your opponent has 3 or more energy, you place him on top of a mono green Son Goku of a cost of 2 or 3, which we do have a number of. And then its first auto is when this card is played, choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and KO them. Your leader card and Son Goku cards in your battle area get minus 10k during your opponent's next turn. So all your Gokus get minus by 10k. Painful. But usually you only have one Goku that stays on, well, the only Goku that's likely to be on field at the time is your leader. Any other Goku would probably just die from that. So, and then the secondary auto is at the end of your turn, you send this card to its owner's warp. If you do, you play up to 1 Kaio-Ken Goku confronting evasion from your warp. Because, as you know, the 2-drop warps itself to go into the 3, and then the 3-drop gets this placed on top of himself. So, there we are, guys. That is my Kaio-Ken Goku deck build. So, thank you very much for watching. Leave any thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!